And welcome back, State Journal's Decision Makers. We're joined now by the president of the West Virginia Senate, Bill Cole, also running for the Republican nomination for governor. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Well, we're back into a new year, and that means the legislature's back in session, and you guys have what I would call a big agenda in front of you. I want to start, though, we just had the governor on. As you listened to his speech, what was it you liked about what he had to say, and we'll get to some of the other points too.
You know, Bray, I think that I think his mission in that speech is to make people feel good, or that, and I think he probably did a pretty good job at that. But in fairness, we're facing so many troubling issues in the state right now, and I didn't, what I would have loved to have heard were a lot of solutions and a lot of, frankly, recognizing the dire situation that the state's in. I didn't hear too much of that, and I heard a little too much down the tax increase side and sort of, kidnapping this workers' comp fund that ought to be paid out, and wanting to continue it forward to try and pull together, the current fiscal year budget.
So you mentioned the workers' comp fund. His proposal is to pay it off early. That would lower the severance tax on coal and gas. What's the thinking, do you think, of the legislature?
Well,
particularly the Senate.
Our coal industry is reeling, and this is 56 cents a ton. We're already the highest state in the nation on coal severance, not counting the 56 cents. The 56 cents was necessary in order to bring our workers' comp back into line, and it did, and it served its purpose. But it's time that we give relief to the coal industry as best we can. And I think we're in a position that fund should be deemed paid up, and we need to release that money back to the coal industry.
And do you think that has support across the board?
We'll have to see. I understand you can just throw darts at every possible solution and say, no, that's no good, that's no good. But what is good? And so I think we need to come with those things that we can do. I still don't think that we've done anything. Yeah, we've had a 7.5, 4% cut in state government, but we haven't done anything to streamline or to overhaul or redo state government. And we still have the most state government per citizen in this country.
That's the part that, frankly, to me, has been missing from West Virginia state government for the last 4 or 5 years. There's this denial of wanting to change our government. And you're right, it's too big, it's too bloated, it interferes in too much stuff. And somebody needs to go do a study and figure out what should this government look like to best serve the people. And that would afford us to do some of these other things that would attract business in here. It's a win-win.
There's no question.
Why are politicians afraid to talk about how you restructure government?
Because they want to get reelected.
And that's more important?
Well, I think it is. I think historically it's been that. You run away from those tough decisions, and that's why we are where we are now.
Right.
I mean, you kick enough cans down the road and they all stop at one time, and that's happening right now.
I mean, there is in West Virginia politics, and particularly, frankly, for the last 80 years, a denial of reality of what's going on in the world, and we pretend like everything's okay. And in fact, many people criticize me, and I'm sure you, if we'd say everything's okay, then everything would be okay. That's not the way it works.
Right.
So let's talk about a couple of these taxes. The cell phone tax, that would hit almost every man, woman, and child, given how many people have cell phones. I was actually surprised to hear that. What was your thought?
Yeah, you know what? On the one hand, Bray, we're apparently 41, 43 states actually have that tax. So from one point of view, you could argue that we're an outlier. That why don't we have it? And you could argue perhaps that it's one of those loophole things that we ought to look at closing. But you know what it truly is? It's a direct tax on our citizens. When our citizens are struggling worse than they ever have, ever in the history of the state, to throw a direct tax on them and then to stick their nose in it every single month when they open their cell phone bill, that's probably going to be a non-starter, would be my guess.
But I guess the point, it seems like to me, and I'm going to get to one exception to the tobacco tax in just a second, but it seems like to me that if you're going to, there probably are some things like the cell phone that may need to be adjusted, it should be adjusted, but that ought to be done as part of a comprehensive reform, not only of taxes, but of state government in general.
No question. And there's some services that are exempted, attorneys, accountants, from state sales tax. So I think there were a number of those things that we were looking at as we were trying to take up tax reform. Obviously our timing was poor. I wish somebody would have told me that we were going to be $353 million in the hole. We could have saved a few hours over the summer in interims.
So when you look forward to next year, it looks like, I mean, we're talking 400 to 500 for 16, 17. Is that going to be 300 to 500 short, do you think?
You know, the thing that is tough about this, when we were first called down to the governor's office, very first part, I think, of the second fiscal quarter, and they said it would be a $250 million revenue shortfall in this current fiscal year, but 190 of that was severance. I knew immediately that the 250 wouldn't hold up because of the ripple effect of if we lose severance, then somebody's not working. If somebody's not working, they're not paying income taxes. If they're not paying income taxes and working, then they're not shopping. So we have consumer sales tax. Then somebody gets laid off. Circle back to one more not paying income tax. So I knew that number wasn't going to be right. Now we're up to 353 million, exactly halfway through the year. But I don't think what they're counting is the downward trend that we're on.
We found out Friday that Walmart's going to close in McDowell County.
That brings tears to my eyes. 120 employees and probably the only true retail opportunity that people in McDowell County have, and that's devastating to that.
How about the tobacco tax? Is that going to fly?
You know, we had talked about a tobacco tax as being part of our tax reform, and you know how much, 50 cents, $1. I think $1 doesn't work. I think $1, a lot of people say, oh, $1 to bring in 100 million. I think it would be revenue neutral. I think it would be revenue zero, because Ohio and PA are about $1 more a pack than we are now in West Virginia. So you have a lot of people coming across the state line, the northern part of the state, to buy their cigarettes. If all of a sudden we put it right even with Ohio and PA, guess what? They're not coming into West Virginia to buy their cigarettes. And so we really hurt those storekeepers up and down the borders. 45 cents might sort of be the sweet spot on that, if there is one. I like the fact that I think he put it towards bringing this PEIA issue to resolution. But you know, the thing that had disappointed me on there was that we're not using family income, total family income in the means testing. So when we have this grid where we help subsidize those that don't make much money and need the help to pay for family coverage, you have somebody that works for the state at $25,000, their spouse might make $200,000, and yet the taxpayers are subsidizing it to the lowest rate.
That's the kind of stuff we've got to stop.
We just need to use total income, total family income, but we're going to get it right on PEIA. We're not turning our back on that. It didn't happen on our watch, but we'll be part of the solution and get it fixed.
All right. Well, Bill Cole, we're going to have to run right to work, and a lot of other structure of the Senate, I assume, will all get settled as we go through this week and the courts figure out what they believe to be the right interpretation.
Yeah, stay tuned.
All right.
Should be a lot of news forthcoming.
All right, Bill Cole, thank you so much. President of the West Virginia Senate. We'll be back with Gordon Gee after this.